I'm Amanda Sharon, joined now by Matt Koziol, singer-songwriter and Nashville-based musician. Matt, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. How are you?
Great, thanks so much. So we're here to talk about, the fact that you're coming to town. You're coming to Green Bay performing as part of the Gather on Broadway Farmers Market series, the second concert in the series, and that's happening on Wednesday at the Farmers Market in the Broadway district downtown Green Bay.
Oh yeah, I remember I played it. I played last year at Gather, and it was such a great time. I mean, getting to meet everybody in the town, and when they asked for me to come back, I was like, absolutely. I was like, there's not a question that I will be back in Green Bay. And Green Bay is such a fun town. My dad's a
Yeah.
huge Packers fan, so it was
Oh,
first time I got to go to Lambeau Field and see it, and I FaceTimed him. He was very, very jealous of me. So
yeah. Awesome. So you are actually just coming off of playing Bonnaroo, right?
yeah, we played Bonnaroo at two shows, and it was a great time. I mean, Bonnaroo is just it's a lot of people, a lot of just sightseeing if you've ever
Hmm.
gone, and but the crowds are great, and getting to play in places like that, especially around a bunch of other musicians that you really love and appreciate. It's a really fun time, and I feel very fortunate that I got to.
Right. So if our listeners aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little insight on how you got started in your musical career and your musical background?
Oh man, yeah. This is the long question. I've been playing live music for about I had my first show. I was 14 years old, so just like a little over 20 years of playing live music for people. I moved to Nashville back in 2015. Before that, I had probably traveled for a couple, 5, 6, 7 years prior to that, just kind of going through different towns and writing music with people. When I moved to Nashville, I started just being a writer again. I didn't really want to perform all that much. I'd done it so much in my early 20s that I was like, all right, let me just write songs and kind of get better at that craft. And over about 7 years, I just kind of honed in on it and really dug back into just writing good songs, and got really fortunate to sign with a publisher here and write with amazing people, and become great friends. A lot of writers. Um, One of them being my producer, Matt Odemark, who's in the band Jars of Clay, for anybody who's familiar with them. And yeah, I mean, once he and I were working a little bit, and I had put out records before and toured when I was younger, and played a bunch of bars and things like that, and had a lot of fun. And then me and him put out a record well, we produced this record together, and it was kind of just for fun. And people started to hear it and really like it, and then it got picked up by my label, Red Creative Group. Um, the good folks, Meredith Jones and everybody at CAA, my agent found it, and they kind of just put me on blast and said, "Hey, man, if you wanna try doing this again, we'd love to help you." And I
Mm.
didn't think I'd be doing it again, and I have never thought that I missed something so much. So it's been really fun, and I feel really fortunate to kind of get back out on the road. I realize I'm not as young as I was when I was 21 going on the road. This is why my voice sounds this way this morning. However, it's just been it re-sparked that thing in me that really loved playing music for people and seeing joy when people hear music, whether they know it or not, and they just want to hear live music. So um,
Hmm.
that's like the Cliff Notes version of the journey on the way out.
Yeah, right. So your debut album, Wild Horse, got a lot of attention. Can you share with us some of the inspiration behind the songwriting and production process for the record?
It's funny. So Wild Horse is a collection of songs that span, I want to say, like 10 to 12 years. Like, not all of them were relatively new. Some of them, there's a song on there called House to Build a Home that was probably about 13 years old when we recorded it. And it's what I loved about that record, and this was the one I was talking about before, is it was my favorite collection of songs that whenever I would play writers' rounds or things like that, these were stories and songs that I had written over the last 10 plus years that had still stayed true to me. And when
Hmm.
we were, looking at making this record, me and my buddy Matt, we kind of just went through songs that he had heard me sing before, and songs that I just really enjoyed, and we just started to chip away at it. And the process was really fun and interesting because, again, it wasn't like a planned thing. So we were calling friends and people to come help us out. Hey, can you come play drums for a day? And we really made the record. I want to say it was over the span of like 2 years. We would do a
Mhm.
week here, a couple of days here and there, and then wait a couple of months. And hey, do you have some free time? Yeah, yeah, all right, let's get a buddy to come play bass. And hey, does somebody can play organ? Yeah, sure. So it took about 2 years of the process to make that record. And then it sat for a year. And funny enough, and he'll laugh if he ever hears this, but when we first finished it, I didn't love it. I was like,
Mm.
I don't know. And that was me being self-critical, but that was me
Mhm.
going like, I think I could do better. And not really having an expectation on it. So we made it, and then I sat with it for about a good year. And then one day I texted Matt and I said, man, we really did something special. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I finally listened to the record again. And I think this thing is pretty cool. And he just laughed. He's like, you're an idiot. He's like, of course it's cool. But he's
Yeah.
also such a firm believer in me, and has always been one of my best friends here, and like family. So when I kind of gave into it and I realized that I love it is when I think people started to see how much I enjoyed it. And I think, it's kind of like a laugh. It's infectious. If you start to enjoy yourself, other people will start to enjoy it with you. So the process was really fun. And then, seeing people enjoy it has been so fun for him and I. It's just been, we're
Mhm.
like, man, this little thing that we didn't really think would kind of fruition in anything has caught
Right.
the attention of way more people than we thought.
Isn't that always the way it goes too when you don't try?
Yeah, the less you try and the more you enjoy it, I think the more people
Yeah.
start to enjoy it with you. And I think that's a lesson I learned. I mean, it's later in life, but I mean, I'm glad I learned it now.
Yeah. So, how has your songwriting style evolved over the course of your career, and what influences have you drawn from over the years?
Oh, well, I mean, my songwriting, just in general, I feel like, being in Nashville, I've always told people it's like the greatest master class in writing that you can never pay for this education. You pay for it in rent and bar tabs. That's pretty much about it. But like you get an education here on like when you realize that you can write a million bad songs to get one good one, you learn it here. And I think over those, 7, 8 years, it really started to show me how to approach a song and how to approach being a certain person in a co-writing room, and having my own voice in that space, not just kind of listening to what other people say, but really having a want to kind of lead the pack. And the influences for the new stuff that I've been writing has been, same thing. It's been stuff that's happened maybe over the last 8 years of my life. There was, a lot of life changes, a lot of moving things, a lot of things that maybe I was stagnant in. And I started writing about them, or, jotting ideas down on my phone. And I mean, I've got voice notes in my phone from me waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had
Mm.
this melody in my head while I was dreaming. And I woke up and I said, maybe this is cool. And I'd sing it into my phone, and I'd listen to it later, be like, that was not cool at all. But there's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of these ideas that I just want to hold on to each one. And, sometimes it would create a spark. And oddly enough, over, a lot of my favorite songs that I've written in the last few years happened over COVID, over quarantine, when I was forced to kind of sit in my house and be on a computer and
Mhm.
write with people over a computer screen, and everybody kind of hated it, and I like oddly enjoyed it. I said, man, I'm home, I'm in my comfort space, I'm in the place that
Mhm.
allows me to be myself without anybody kind of judging me on it. And I got some of my favorite music in the last 10 years out of being in quarantine, which everybody thinks is so strange, but it kind of just worked for me. So a lot of that inspiration, I got to be in my house and in my comfort space to really dig into stories that maybe I wasn't ready to talk about then. Or write songs that were just kind of for fun. And then I play them out live now and I go, man, these are really cool. And I wrote that sitting in a pair of shorts and Crocs in my living room. It's been a fun journey to kind of have that growth in music, and especially over the last maybe 4 years.
Yeah. So, what have you got coming up? Can you tell us about any upcoming projects or performances that you're excited about besides the one on Wednesday in Green Bay here?
Well, besides the one on Wednesday, I've been on the road with Whiskey Myers, opening up for them for the last month or so. And we're continuing that trend into late July and into August. So I'll be on the road with them, which is great. And But I did record about, I went back in the studio with Matt and a bunch of friends, and we kind of really planned this out. But we did another about 13 songs. "Follow Me Home," which was the most recent release, was one of them, and that's an even older song. I think I wrote that in 2013, but that's just been one that I've always tried to record it, and it never came out right. And I tried to record it again, didn't come out right, and then we finally did it this last time. And I was like, man, that's the way it should have been from day one. And but we went in and had this great plan and be like, hey, let's take 2 full weeks and really kind of give ourselves like the woodshed experience and really be in here and enjoy making a record live again. And that's what we did. We had great people, great musicians, and we just really took the time to give focus to each song and get in and record. So there's about 13 new songs that we recorded. I think we're going to be releasing songs kind of bit and pieces here and there until the new year. So "Follow Me Home" was one of them. And then I think we're going to have a double release coming up. I don't want to say what songs, but I think we're doing a double release coming up. Because
Okay.
I think my label will hear me say, "Don't say what songs," 'cause
Yeah,
it
yeah.
might change, and they may be like, "Don't say what it is." But I'm pretty sure we're going to do a double release of two brand new songs. Like one I wrote during, actually both I think I wrote during quarantine, and they're just these big rock tunes. They're fun, and they've got a lot of swampy kind of. One of them has a lot of swampy kind of Appalachia thing to it, and the other one was a song I wrote with a guy from Texas that I didn't remember. I didn't remember the song at all. I was going through a folder of songs to list when we were looking at songs to record, and I came across it, and I sent it to Matt, and I was like, "Hey, man, what do you think about this one?" And he goes, "Whoa, where did that song come from?" And I'm like, "It was in the depths of a folder somewhere on my Dropbox." So I'm happy, sometimes when you start digging, you find things it's like cleaning your house, right? You find that one sock you thought you lost forever. It was the same thing. That was
Yeah,
the worst
well,
reference I could give, but I think everybody understands what I'm talking about.
definitely. So, where can our listeners find out more about you and listen to your music?
Well, you can hear all the music, on streaming platforms, so Apple Music and Spotify and all those things. Where you'll generally find the bulk of my life is on Instagram. I'm kind of one of those. Like for me, I have all the platforms, whether it's Twitter, TikTok, and all that. But Instagram is really where you'll see a lot of what I do, whether it's on the stories. Like we'll have the regular posts up of things about shows and new songs coming out, so you can always keep updated on stuff like that. But if you wanted to see the quirkiness of my life, it's usually in my Instagram stories, and I don't know why. I feel like that's just the one place you get 24 hours to see how strange I am, and then it goes away for forever. Maybe not forever, but it goes away
Hmm.
for now. But yeah, you can find me. I think it's Matt Koziol Music. That's Koziol.
Awesome. So, folks can follow you on Instagram, and they can also head out to Gather on Broadway's Farmers Market series on Wednesday evening at the Farmers Market in downtown Green Bay in the Broadway district and see you perform live. The concerts for Gather on Broadway's Farmers Market series are sponsored by Nicolet Bank. Your concert ticket has been paid for in advance. Nicolet Bank is a supporting partner of the Avenue. Matt, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I cannot wait to be back in Green Bay. It's going to be amazing. And will I get a cheesehead? Probably, because who wouldn't want another? You know.
Absolutely. Singer-songwriter Matt Koziol joining me, and he's performing downtown Green Bay on Wednesday evening as part of the Gather on Broadway Farmers Market series. And again, Nicolet Bank, a supporting partner of The Avenue. This is 91.1 The Avenue.